All right, hello and welcome to Drive-In Double Feature. I'm Ryan,
I'm Nathan.
and this is the podcast where we talk about two movies every week, every Tuesday and Thursday. And today, Nathan, we got another listener request. It's just these emails, they're coming in hot. They're coming in like clockwork once a month.
Yep.
So they're just flowing in. But this one is actually from a listener named Max, and he was actually a real big fan of some of the other episodes we did. He's actually a friend of Alex.
Yeah, and Alex recommended Blood-Sucking Freaks, if I remember right.
Yes, correct. So Max actually sent us an email, and he said, hey, I think you may have already talked about it with Alex, but if you guys ever get a chance to watch Evil Bong, it's worth the watch, in my opinion. It's one of those movies that is terrible in all of the right ways. I will say if you can't find the comedy and how terrible it is, you probably won't end up enjoying it. But personally, I find this movie hilarious. Thanks, Max. And thank you again for sending us the email. We really do appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. I love getting recommendations. And Evil Bong's a movie I've been meaning to watch for a very long time.
It's one of those movies, Nathan, that we've actually been joking about for a while.
A very long time. Like, ever since, we started even recording stuff together, I think we talked about Evil Bong.
I think, one of the first times you and I actually met, or, maybe, the first or second time, there was, a joke about Evil Bong. And, I've been aware of this movie for a very long time. I mean, I knew about it, but, again, it just, oh, this looks terrible. I'm not going to watch it.
Yeah, I've always skipped over it, because it's more funny as an idea, because there's 8 of these movies, with one of them coming out this year.
It's insane.
Wow.
I when I got done watching it, I was like, okay, I think there's at least one sequel, and so this movie is directed by Charles Band, like we've said before, and this guy is the king of sequels. I mean, just no matter the quality or the popularity of a movie, he probably made a sequel from it.
Yeah, if he had an original idea, he's going to write it into the ground. Because, the other movie we talked about on this podcast, Trancers, has a bunch of sequels. His other popular series, Puppet Master, I think they're over 10 entries now.
There's a bunch of Ginger Dead Man movies too.
Yes, yeah. It's absolutely insane. And you can tell how he can do it, because Evil Bong, watching it, it is maybe one of the cheapest movies I've ever seen to have this high of a concept. And I meant that pun.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Thanks, yeah.
It's a real dank concept. I agree. And but yeah, there's only 2 locations in this entire movie. There's the apartment where all the main characters live, and this strip club.
The strip club in the Bong.
Inside of the Bong, yes.
Yes, yeah. There's only 2 locations, and it dawned on me halfway through the movie that this is what was going on. I was like, oh, we're just going to be inside this dorm for the rest of the movie, huh?
When we got to the halfway point, I was like, oh, they're not going to leave this room.
Yeah, no wonder they can make 8 sequels.
They don't even show a different room that's always in the living room, too. They don't even show a bedroom.
Well, they set it up because our main character, he shows up, and he's looking for a room, right? And then, come to find out, all of the guys in this dorm, they just sleep together in the living room. That's where you're going to be sleeping. So they don't even have to show another room that way.
Yeah, and the main character is probably about the definition of a nerd, named Alistair, and
you can't call him Al.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Don't call me Al. He does not like being called Al, and so he is really annoying in this movie. I did not like him at all.
No, he is. He's rough. Maybe there's a reason he's only in one movie. He's on a couple TV shows, but he is only in Evil Bong.
Well, I think his character is actually in the other ones. He just was recast.
Really? Wow, was that bad?
Yeah, the actor said no, thank you
Yeah.
to Evil Bong too.
No, I'm too above that now. I won't do Evil Bong. Um,
like so there's a scene where so I mean the main premise is these guys they love weed and then they find like an ad in High Times magazine and then they get this curse bong. But anyway, Alistair's like, I gotta study, you guys, and he's studying. So I mean he's out of college, right? I mean
yeah,
if you gotta study, go to a freaking library. Like
exactly.
he's in the living room and he's like annoyed that people are living in the living room. Like there's one guy playing video games in the living room, which is his right, honestly. I mean, like
It's the living room.
it's the freaking living room. And so, he's playing Super Mario World, which was cool to see.
Yeah, it was
And
cool, but the sound effects aren't from the game.
it sounds like a pinball machine.
Yeah, it's like got the clanking, but it was cool to see. Like he had the Super Nintendo and everything in there.
It was an actual Super Mario cartridge too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he was just like, can you keep that noise down? I'm trying to study. And I'm like, leave if you're trying to study. Why do you gotta be such a drag?
And I hate this guy's hair. He's got like wet down hair and it's like split down the middle. I don't even know how to explain it, but that's a big point of the movie because
he's got Dwight Schrute hair.
Dwight, yes, yeah, that's exactly it. He's got Dwight Schrute hair, and he thinks he's gonna pick up the ladies with this. One thing I kind of like though is there's a jock that lives with them, and the jock doesn't treat him that horribly. They actually are kind of friends. Like the jock's like, I'm gonna get you laid, buddy. Which of course that's a plot line in this movie.
Yeah, of course.
Uh-huh.
There's lots of boobs in this movie, and it's
Yes.
and lots of like enormous boobs. Like they've all had like a lot of implants.
Yes, it's like all implants. There are no small boobs at all. It's because all the strip club scenes, it's very focused on that. Everybody's topless, everybody's dancing.
There was one guy, I think his name was Bachman, right?
Bachman?
The surfer guy.
Yes, yeah.
Anyway, he was kind of funny a little bit. He was just like the surfer that loves weed, which the funny thing is that the jock, he's really obsessed with his old glory days as a baseball player.
Mm-hmm.
He's got like all these baseball trophies, and the surfer guy leaves a seashell or whatever, like a conch on his trophy mantle. He's like, get this off of my trophy mantle, and he throws it into the surfer guy's cereal bowl, and then the surfer guy puts the seashell to his ear, and he's like, great, man, now it's broke. I can't hear the ocean.
Yeah. I love that this character dies, and it's like one of those comedies where they have to hide the dead body because they don't want to call the cops or anything.
Mm-hmm.
That's just like silly. One of the other characters I like is that one of the roommates' dad shows up in a wheelchair, and it's the weirdest, most out of place scene.
What was that scene? Like, what was the point of that?
I think they just wanted to make the runtime a little higher because, like, okay, they're trying to figure out what to do with the dead body, and then some guy knocks on the door, and of course the dude's like, there's an old man in a wheelchair out here. And of course he knows that's my dad. He shows
it's his grandpa, yeah.
Oh, sorry, his grandpa, yeah. And then they have a weird conversation because he's like, oh, I'm getting married to this beautiful woman. And his grandchild he's like, oh yeah, I've always wanted to bang one of your wives. And I was like, what?
It's so weird. That scene is just, it's out there. So like his grandfather is obviously like an elderly man.
Yeah.
And he's just like, he's saying like, oh, like I really married this hot woman. You know, she's great. And the wife comes out and the big joke is she's also elderly. And they kept thinking like this was going to be like this really young woman. I'm like, and they're like, oh, it's so gross. And I'm like,
yeah,
he's an old man marrying an old lady. What's gross? I don't understand.
Right? This old lady shows up and they're like, gross. And they bring it up later in the movie too. They're like, oh, I can't believe he married an old bag. It's like, but but that makes sense. I did think it was funny that his wife shows up and just falls asleep instantly on the couch with them.
Yeah, that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
But
Um,
so I guess the main plot, though, like I said, there's a cursed bong that shows up, and what happens is that anybody that smokes it gets transported into the bong, and then they get killed.
yeah.
And that their spirit, I guess, and then their lifeless body is just left there.
Yeah, and the Evil Bong EB is its name, takes like the power from the kill to I don't know what her plan ultimately was.
Well, what was the power? I mean, other than she grows a face?
Yeah, that's all I got. She just gained a face. Tommy Chong shows up for maybe one of the most pointless cameos. Like it is like
they make him the savior.
Well, I guess not pointless, but one of the weirdest cameos, I should say, because
it's shoehorned in. That's what it feels. Very forced. Yeah. Like we got to put Tommy Chong in here.
Yeah, because he just shows up. It's like, oh, I found my bong. There's my bong, and
he knew exactly where it was. He's like, hey man, that's my bong.
Hey, and great, so... that's good. But yeah, I mean that's what it is. And then he fights the bong with a chainsaw, and they talk. This bong has a voice, and it's like foul mouthed, of course, calling everybody assholes and.
Which, like I said, the bong grows a face, and the effects for that look awful. Like
it's like they went over to their elementary school and got someone to make their like first ceramic thing.
Yeah, well, like the bong that comes in, they're like, oh, looks amazing, but it just looks like this plastic like piece of garbage, basically, and they smoke from it, and like I said, it grows a face, and it's like the ugliest face on there. And they're like, oh, look at the face.
Yeah, and it talks, and it doesn't move its lips, and except for sometimes they add a weird effect where her mouth kind of moves. It's like really bad.
It's like the mouth kind of goes up and down like a little bit, like it's kind of talking, but the lips never close like it's talking.
Yeah,
so
like they half-ass the effects, which would make sense.
You didn't happen to look to see if what the budget of this movie is, did you?
No, I did not.
Because I can't imagine it being that much, because this movie, like I said, it looks so cheap. I mean, which is so weird because we watched Trancers, which is also a Charles Band movie, and that movie, I mean, it wasn't like this super high-tech special effects movie, but it still looked like a movie.
Yeah. Well, part of Charles Band's lore, I should say, part of his story is that Full Moon Pictures used to make like decent straight-to-video movies, and as he's gotten older, he makes cheaper and lazier stuff. It just gets lazier and lazier.
Does he just not care? Or?
Yeah, I mean, have you heard about that movie, the Talking Cat movie, where
no.
Eric Roberts does the voice of a talking cat, and instead of getting him into the booth, he called up Eric Roberts and recorded Eric Roberts' audio through the phone. So it sounds like the cat's talking through phone audio. I forget. It's like, oh darn, I have a talking cat, or that's the name of the movie. Yeah, this is the level of stuff. Yeah, which sucks because Trancers, I mean, I really like Trancers. This podcast has changed my brain where I see Jack Deth from Trancers shows up in this movie in a cameo, and I got excited. I was like, yes, show me more.
He doesn't do anything, though.
I know, but he has a great line. He says, dry hairs for squids.
His classic line.
Yeah, classic line. Ginger Dead Man shows up in this one.
Yeah, and he's masturbating, so.
Yeah, he says he's going to cream. Get it? Because he's like...
Yeah, with his walnuts. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's other Full Moon cameos, but I haven't seen enough yet to know.
Well, there's on IMDb trivia, it was that little racist-looking tribesman doll or whatever that's in the movie that's also masturbating which is from another movie called Ooga Booga. Real nice.
Yikes.
And then there's like an evil clown-looking thing in that movie, which is also from like one of their like killer toys or some some other like movie where toys come to life.
Yeah.
And Jack Deth.
Yeah, and Jack Deth, which is Tim Thomerson's last appearance as his character, which is a bit odd.
So we did his first and his last appearance.
Nice. Now it's just time to do everything in between.
Honestly, I would. Well, I haven't said it yet, but I didn't like this movie at all. It sucked.
Really? Okay. It's not good, but I had fun. I thought it was a good little bit of fun. Like if I was under some kind of influence, I'd get it. I would maybe find some fun out of it.
So, like, my opinion is I didn't like it because one of the things I hate about some bad movies, I think that good bad movies are one that's like we've said it before, like they're intending to make a good movie. They're trying to put in all their best efforts, but it just does a complete 180 and it goes up in flames.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, one of the worst things you can do is like, oh, we're going to intentionally make a bad movie.
Yeah. And that's one of the worst crimes you can have, because those are usually like, there was a phase like where we were making, like a lot of people were making movies like, oh, this is just the worst. We're just going to make trash. And I don't know if that's the case here, but I will say I do think it's lazy. I think that's what I would say. It's just kind of a lazy movie.
That's what it kind of felt like. I felt like they're like, oh, we got to add in some dumb jokes, and then we got to like, oh, we don't need to try to make this Killer Bong look menacing or anything like that. We just got to make it say really hilarious things, and there you go, movie all good.
Movie good, right? People will pay for it and watch it. I mean, it's got the name recognition, obviously. Yeah, I mean, there's something about it where like I laughed a little bit, and I can at least take that from it, where I like at times it was a little funny. There's like what was up with that scene where the girl gets high and she just yells, "I'm horny," and dances for like 5 minutes.
I gotta say, we've watched some pretty terrible things before, but that particular scene where she does that dance, which goes on forever, might be one of the most cringiest things I've seen in any of these movies that we've talked about.
I don't know what that was. She's like slapping his leg. And it's funny because if you look in the background, there's a character that's supposed to be lifeless. He's smiling. He's supposed to be dead, and he's just smiling in the background. And they thought that was the best take to put into the movie.
She also takes a condom and like blows it up like a balloon.
And then there's just awful reverse shot of two people watching, and they're just making faces like, oh, laughing, even though they're obviously not there.
I was like, but in the context of the movie, it was supposed to be like a sexy dance.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I don't understand, because it felt like something out of Reefer Madness. Like, oh, look what weed would do to you. Weed would make you do this, right?
Right.
Yeah. The rest of the movie feels like a little more accurate. They smoke weed and they just kind of lazy and do nothing.
See, that's what I feel about the movie a lot of times, because there's a lot of movies that, for me, that try to cash in on weed culture. Like, we're going to buy this for all the potheads out there, or people are going to buy this movie and get high to it or whatever. So it feels like that sort of thing. Like it's like a cash grab almost. Like, people love to smoke weed, so we got to make a weed movie.
Because I mean, that is a thing. I feel like you see that a lot, especially with weed movies in general. It's like, oh, I smoke weed. I'm gonna smoke weed and buy this movie and watch it. If you see Killer Bong, it's like, perfect. I'm gonna watch this while I smoke.
Well,
so that makes sense.
Yeah, like imagine. I mean, this is 2006, so imagine you're going to the video store and you're like, I'm going to get high tonight. So they're like looking for
your local Blockbuster has the finest bud to pick from.
Exactly. You go pick up your favorite strain at the front counter and then go pick a movie.
Actually, that sounds like a great business. Once you're in a state where it's legal, movie rentals and weed, perfect.
Just the 8 or 9 Killer Bong movies and weed.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
one copy of Reefer Madness for masochists, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, sure. There you go. But
Yeah.
I mean, if you do like it, I could see how people would think it's funny, but for me and like my sense of humor, it did not hit at all.
No, I get that. I totally get that. It's definitely not. It's not for everybody because at the end of the day, there's so many more movies out there that, like you said, like even bad movies where people put their heart and soul and work hard to get those made. And Evil Bong obviously was just a cash grab, get it out as fast as possible. We're making a product, not art here. There's that, but I guess part of me, it was silly. I sat there, I was like, you know what? It's fine.
It's harmless. It is harmless. I will say that. It's not like overly offensive or anything like that. And
Yeah.
again, that's just my opinion. Humor is 100% subjective. So
For sure. Yeah.
if you loved it, hey, good for you. Me personally, I wouldn't recommend it to anyone.
Yeah. Well, maybe Evil Bong 666 will up the ante.
Well, whenever you recommend it, Nathan, we will talk about it.
We'll see.
I'm not wasting a recommendation on it, Nathan. Those my recommendations are like gold. I don't just give those out for free.
Yeah, no, they're precious. I know. Me too. I've never picked a bad movie for the show ever. Never.
If it was a bad movie, you didn't like it, that wasn't my pick.
Yeah. That was one of the listeners' picks. Okay. But no, I do want to say thank you so much for recommending this one. It's been on the to-do list ever since the beginning.
We have honestly talked about it before doing it at some point, and I do again thank Max for sending out that recommendation. I'm sorry I didn't love it, but we're really glad that you tuned in and gave us the suggestion.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think that's it. Was there anything else you wanted to share about Evil Bong?
No,
Nathan?
I feel like I'm missing something. Oh, go ahead.
So, okay, I'll say one thing. At the very end of the movie, Tommy Chong, kills the Evil Bong, but he's stuck inside of it, and all the naked girls that were inside of the Evil Bong are like, "Hey, you're now the leader now," and he's like, he's like, "You can do whatever you want," and implying, you can do anything to us or whatever, and he's like, "I want you to play with my Hot Wheels." And they start playing with Hot Wheels.
Yeah. The only thing is, that was a little odd. He starts playing Hot Wheels on some of the ladies' breasts, calling them mountains, and then
he's like, "It's got some big mountains to climb."
Yeah. What an ending. I mean, hey, Tommy Chong, he got a paycheck at the end of the day.
He did. I mean,
yeah.
At this point, he gave a lot. He created Cheech and Chong, which that's a good weed movie. That's like an actual funny movie.
Yes, exactly.
I can watch that movie 100% sober and I could still laugh.
Yeah, no, Evil Bong doesn't even compare. There are great weed movies out there. There are like actual like really funny weed movies like that are actually like funny, like written well, like Cheech and Chong, or underrated classic Half Baked, bringing it back up on the show. There's some good weed movies out there.
There is. So there's definitely a lot more you could use with your time. But now that I think that's about everything, what you say.
I think that clears it up. I feel pretty good on Evil Bong. I might be missing something, but I think we're good. Well,
we're just going to have to get lost into that haze. You're getting that memory fog from all those drugs, Nathan.
Yeah. That's constantly what happens to me. But speaking of foggy nights, really dark, can't see a thing. It's kind of like a noir film. Am I right? Hopefully that was okay.
I guess so. Sure. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Speaking of which, next Tuesday, I'm picking a noir film, and that's Trouble in Mind from 1985. So, and that one is available to stream on good old Tubi.
Good old Tubi. We love Tubi. Thank you, Tubi. But anyway, if you've got some thoughts, opinions, you want to tell us we're completely wrong about Evil Bong and Evil Bong's your favorite movie, please email us at drivein-doubleFeaturePodcast@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at DIDFpod. And if you feel so inclined, please go up on over to Patreon and drop in, become a member at patreon.com/drive-in double feature podcast. But until next time.
Until next time.